The message is loud and clear that this is a relationship that both the countries value. That's why President Putin has traveled to New Delhi, and that's why we are playing those optics, which is on full display. Prime Minister Modi, in a rare gesture, going straight to the tarmac for welcoming President Putin. Then the two leaders, the two heads of states, traveled together in the car. That was the carpooling that we saw. And then what we saw was a private dinner at the at 7 LKM, which is the official residence of Prime Minister Modi. Russia, remember, is now India's largest crude supplier, and it has provided roughly a third of imports after rising from just 1% pre-Ukraine. The message, despite all the sanctions coming in from the West, despite the 50% tariff, and which includes 25% as a penalty tariff for purchasing from Russia, India and Russia value these ties, that they believe that what has been a civilizational connect between the two nations must be reinstated. And this is a relationship that the two countries believe must go beyond the trade. It is about technologies also. Gaurav, we haven't spoken much about it. I think let's emphasize now on technology, the technology space, which will also be seeing a greater Russia-India cooperation.
Indeed. And, you know, in the good old days, they said, sky's the limit. With India-Russia relationship, even outer space is not the limit, because that is where cooperation is being explored. And I want to quickly bring in Professor Brahma Chilani for a quick word before we slip into a break. Professor Chilani, how would America be looking at this? You know, there is criticism coming Donald Trump's way that it's he who pushed India closer to Russia and to China. Would America want to push ahead, or perhaps do we see some mid-course correction?
India's strategic priorities call for constructive relations with both the US and Russia. In fact, for New Delhi, the central diplomatic challenge is to maintain a careful equilibrium between Moscow and Washington in order to safeguard the independence of India's foreign policy. Now, that has been the approach under successive governments. But then we have seen how, under President Trump, the US has adopted a punitive approach toward India. It has slapped tariffs on India that are higher than the tariffs on China. India has been singled out by the Trump administration for secondary sanctions over Russian oil purchases, even though the US itself is bankrolling Russia's war machine by importing enriched uranium, fertilizers, strategic minerals, as well as other things.
In fact, President Putin has spoken about it in that interview. Go ahead,
right,
Professor
Maria.
Chilani.
No, you're right, Maria. In fact, the way India has been singled out, while other major importers of Russian energy, like the EU, China, Japan, and Turkey have been spared, goes to show that Trump is basically trying to punish India. He's using India's oil purchases from Russia to secure a trade deal largely on his terms.